Hi there, thanks for clicking on my video. As usual, I'm going to tell you a story and then I'll come to the topic. So this lady, she was supposed to be my mother's friend, and I think both of them are studied together, I don't remember. So this lady, she used to come to my house very often, sometimes without announcing and uninvited, and always, snooping around. She was quite, difficult to understand, quite forgetful and disorganized type. So once she came to my house, she was in need of a sari and she wanted to have a sari of my mother. She told my mother that she wanted to attend a function, so that's why she was in need of a sari. So I remember that my mother had a sari, it was stunning, beautiful sari, very expensive, which my nani had gifted to her. And my mother actually very dearly, she cherished that sari, it was a kind of treasured possession with a kind of sentimental value. So this lady, when she saw the sari, she was like, oh, absolutely beautiful, I just want to have this sari. I'm going to return it within a week because my family function will be over and I'm going to return it. So my mother, she was little reluctant to give this sari because she had a sentimental value add to it, but she agreed to give it reluctantly. So 1 week passed. I remember that she did not turn up with the sari, and my mother, she had to hear a lot from my father, I remember. And then what happened, at those time I remember there were no phones to contact somebody, so that my mother could approach her saying that you have taken my sari, you need to return it. So what happened that this lady, she did not come after 15 days or 16 days, when my mother approached her, she was like, oh, sorry, I really forget about it. And I was totally, entirely tied up with my old family function and all. I have your sari, so I'm going to return it. But the problem is, no, it has got a little, a kind of, a little tear during the function. So don't worry, I'm going to return it. I'm going to mend it and then I'll return it. So my mother heart sank, I remember. So then what happened, after constant poking and after constant reminder, she gave the sari back, but it was totally frayed at the edges, and the small, tear she had mentioned, it was a prominent rip. So my mother, actually, she really, I can't tell you how she could have felt at that time. How do you cope with these kind of people, when they borrow your stuff but they forget to return on time? It's a kind of inconvenient for people, and it's a pet peeve for many people when somebody really gets on their nerve. Again and again they would come to you, they will ask for some stuff, they will borrow money or maybe some stuff of yours, but they don't remember to return it on time. So it's a kind of really difficult thing to cope with, and I really wanted to bring this topic into my discussion because people actually what they do, that they are very afraid to bring this kind of conversation. Not afraid, you can say that they don't want to bring this kind of conversation because they really don't want to indulge in this money thing and all. But I think people make it a kind of stigma to talk about this kind of problem they are facing with. They don't want to bring notice the person, those who have taken their money and those who have done this thing to them. So I really want to bring this conversation to have a healthy discussion about it, so that if we feel this kind of problem in our life, this is arising due to these kind of people, they are getting on our nerve always, so coming constantly poking us with money and the things which they have taken, so we can handle them easily. So let's first understand that why these people borrow thing. First of all, let me tell you one thing, this borrowing thing, it is okay, since we live in a kind of society, so always we find that some people are there who borrow things, and you borrow from others, other people borrow from you. So it's a kind of understanding. We know that we are in need of something, we go to our neighbor, we go to our family, we go to our friend and we ask for the thing. If we are in in emergency, we need something. Same thing happened with us too. Some people come to us, they take our thing, they use it, and they return on time. So if it is a kind of compromise thing, if it is happening from the both side and there's a kind of understanding from both the side, it is okay. Problem comes when people start taking the advantage of your innocence, your kindness, your generosity, your vulnerability. So how you are going to cope up with these kind of people, when constantly they get on you now? So let's first talk, why people borrow things. They put themselves into a kind of weird situation. Someone who is asking for money, it is very difficult for people to ask for money who are not in the habit of asking. So maybe they are going through some difficult situation in their life, so that is why they are asking for money. So it is okay to help this kind of person out when you know when you are very sure about their their character, their way of living, their economic condition. You know it well that person is going to return it soon. But problem arises when you find that some people are taking advantage of you constantly. Maybe they are too lazy to get on their own thing, or they want to save some cash by not buying those things, or maybe they are totally relying on you. They just want to avoid their responsibility. So these type of person always want to take a kind of free ride. So that is why they always depends on other people for some stuffs, maybe money or something else. So let's discuss some situation where we find that asking or borrowing money is it's kind of justified and it is acceptable to some extent. So sometime it happens that your friend, or maybe you are going to attend some function where you find that your friend has put a kind of themed party, and they want you to wear some special kind of dress which you are not having. So if you find that your friend or family members or some relative or neighbor is having this kind of dress, so you can go and ask for that kind of dress, because it is really waste to spend money on buying these kind of dress which you are going to wear only for once. So it is okay that if you are going to such function where a theme is organized and you to wear something special, something specific, and your neighbor is having this kind of dress, you go and ask for that thing. And it is very natural to ask for this thing if you have a kind of cordial relationship with your neighbor, and your neighbor is also very sure about the thing that you are going to return it on time. So in this case, if you're asking for something, it is okay, that's the thing. Other thing is, another reason for borrowing may be that when you are trying out something new, maybe you want to learn guitar. Okay, you learn to we want to learn how to play guitar. So instead of wasting your time in buying guitar just to know that whether you have a kind of hang of it or not, whether you would like it or not, whether it is working for you or not, so for experimentation you can take your family or your friends or your neighbor's guitar, for just if they are having one, so you can just try on it and see that whether you are liking it or not. And if you find that you're okay with it, then go and buy and purchase new guitar. Because if initially without thinking you're just spending your money in buying such a expensive thing, it's not going to work for you. But borrowing from your neighbor, friends, or any other person is okay when you are going to return the thing safely to them, and in a secure way, in a safe way, and you are going to return that thing to that person safely and within the given time which you have promised, then it is okay. Even it is your close friend, if you're not returning the stuff which you have taken, and you are just you have told him that okay, I have taken it for 1 week only and I will return it to you, and what happened that after 1 month you're forgetting to return it, then it is causing problem for you, because you are also breaking your promise, and that person is also in kind of dilemma whether they should remind you for returning the thing or not. So that causes a problem. So financial constraint can also drive people to borrow things. Suppose you have a laptop and suddenly while working on it you find that it breaks down and you need to make a kind of assignment. You need to make a kind of you need to make a kind of presentation. You need to submit it tomorrow. Then you go and ask your neighbor or your friend or someone who is very close to you, and you can ask for the thing. So in this context, it is okay that you are asking for the thing and you have a right intention to return it, and you know that you are going to return it at the given time which you have taken in your hand, and you have promised to return it on time, and you're going to return. Then it is really good for you. In certain social scene, it has been seen that people borrow things just to create a sense of affluence, or just to kind of create a kind of striking impression about themselves. They want to project themselves, someone very wealthy, and they want to attend some event, and they're just eager to climb the social ladder and rub shoulder with the elite class. And it is very commonly, it's been seen that people, they borrow things from other people just to put a kind of impression on them, and just to show off their wealth, their their money, their power. They do it. So I've seen people doing it, whenever they attend some party, and if they don't have this kind of dress, which suits them for the occasion, they go to the extent of buying things from their, friends or family members. But they don't have all the blings to fit in. Then they get into this borrowing thing. Another thing I remember, that is another thing I want to discuss over here, that is social media. Increasing social media and people's tendency to project themselves in front of people, other people, by putting their photograph, by posting their social status where they have gone for. Sometimes people, they go to the extent of portraying their whole thing, whatever they are doing at home. Sometimes they are eating food, maybe something nice has cooked at home, so they like to project it into social media, and they are very eager to know how many likes and how many comments they are getting, on this thing. So showcasing a perception of wealth and prosperity leads them to borrowing things. They borrow things, and they do it just for the sake of presenting themselves, in front of other people. They borrow things just to maintain the facade of wealth, and today we see that this real culture, it has pushed people towards this kind of thing. They don't hesitate to borrow things from other people because they need to present themselves in a nice way in front of other people. They don't care for where the money is coming from or who is giving them the money. The only sole intention of their to present and to project themselves in front of other people, they are not thinking about the consequences. Some people go on borrowing things to that extent that they go on a just to show other people that they are going on a vacation. They take a kind of risk of borrowing money in a higher level because they just want to go on a tour, a kind of kind of traveling thing they do. They want to go on a kind of travel, a kind of spending their holidays in a nice place, though they are not able to cope up with the expenses, but they just do it just because they want to come into the category of affluence people. They want to rub shoulder with the elite class. They want to project themselves as higher classes, and just to get a kind of comment from people, just to get a kind of like and kind of view from the people, they do it. They don't think that how much they are hurling themselves. So they don't care about the fact that how much they are pushing themselves, they are nudging themselves to get into this extent where they are finding that everything is happening in a superficial way. So it is the consequences of highlight real culture prevalent on social media. Constant comparison and competition is happening in the social media. People always, they just wanted to have a kind of validation from people. The culture of seeking validation from like and comment on social media, it just intensify human being to get into this kind of borrowing things, just to project themselves as someone very special or wealthy person. And people, they make their day, when they come to know the people, someone is giving comment to them saying, oh, whoa, what a beautiful sari, where did you buy it? Just give me the link and I'll also buy from there. So here you see that people are becoming hollow from inside. They have nothing to share within their family members, no love, no care, nothing. But they are very, they're always ready to project themselves in an outer space. They want to show themselves how happy they are from outside, but the real thing is that, how they are managing their finance, how they are going through their social status, how they are managing their all money, how they are saving money, how they are going through the problem. But the problem is that they need to find out what kind of problem they are dealing with, their family problem, their financial issues, their how they are coping with how they are coping up with lots of problem which is having in their life. They don't want to show it to other people, just want to put a kind of showcase of their different personality, which is outer appearance. They want to put it in front of other people just to make people happy, just to present themselves nice. But just if you see, within these people, how much hollow, how much vacant they are from inside, you will find it. So when we deal this kind of people, who constantly come to you and asking for money, now it is your thing how you're going to manage with these kind of people who always, ask for money. So always set your boundaries. Tell people that you are not capable of giving money. And always think that if some person is asking for a big amount of money, you tell them that I'm not capable of giving this money. I don't have this much money with me. So tell them frankly that you will not be able to give such a big amount, because you also need to see your family condition, your economic condition. You are also dealing with lots of expenses, and you are not going to give them money. It is okay if they are asking for money. 2,000, 3,000 is okay. And when you find this person is really sensible, really having some kind of difficulties, some financial difficulties, and you want to help that person out, that it's okay. So if they constantly come to you and asking for money, just tell them politely that you have also your own responsibilities, your own liabilities to perform, and you will not be able to give money every time. So there are some people where you need a kind of a little strategy, a kind of tactics to deal with. I remember that when my daughter, she was studying in Pune, so used to live in a kind of flat, and she had a kind of flatmate. Okay, so this girl, she was in the habit of borrowing things. Not borrowing actually, she used to come to my daughter's room, and when my daughter would go somewhere out, she would come to my daughter's room, she would take the stuff without telling her and would use it. So I remember that once I gave her a jacket, and this girl, my daughter's flatmate, she took the jacket, she wore it, and not only she wore it, what did she do that? In holidays, she went to her home and took the jacket along with her. And when my daughter reminded her of the jacket, she said, "Oh, sorry, I forgot to, give you. It is with me. I've kept it safely. I'm not using it, so I will return it when I'll come back to you." So sometimes she would, barge into the room, when she's dealing with something, maybe she's very much preoccupied with the work. She would come, and sometimes she would ask for some earring, or sometimes some other things, sometimes some clothes, sometimes some electronic gadget, or sometimes she would eat her snacks. So it was a little irritating thing for my daughter, and she was gradually she was getting annoyed. She told me everything. She told me, "Mummy, I really been getting annoyed with this girl, she always come to my room, she always, whatever she finds, she takes the stuff, and she says, okay, I'm gonna return it tomorrow. Okay, let me wear it today for the party." And she takes the earring and wears it without her permission. She used to do it. So I suggested my daughter that you can do one thing, just do the same thing, tit for tat practice, can adopt. So she said, Mama, it is okay, but the thing is that, I'm not in the habit of doing it, because, sometimes it happens that when you are grown, when you have grown in such a condition where you find that you are not using other people's stuff, maybe you are alone, and maybe you are not in the habit of sharing your stuff with other people, but it doesn't mean that you are not caring, you are not generous, but the thing is that you are not in the habit of taking other people's stuff. So it becomes very difficult to use the practice of tit for tat thing. So she said that it's not my thing to go into her room and without announcing to get into her room and to take her stuff and to use it. So I suggested my daughter that just make her sit and tell her that you are not very comfortable for her taking your stuff and using it without telling you. So my daughter, in her leisure time, she made her sit, she talked about it, and she told her, look, I don't have any problem you are taking my stuff and using it, but just keep in mind one thing, that before using it, before taking my stuff, at least you should tell me. You should let me know that what are the things which you have taken me. Because when I find that my thing is going missing, I might think that maid has taken it. So she understood the whole thing when they had a kind of talk, and she understood the whole thing, and now she has adopted this thing that before taking anything, she used to come to my daughter's room and she would tell that, Didi, I'm taking this thing and I want to use it. So as I told you in the beginning, if the thing comes from the both side, if both of you are okay taking each other's stuff and you're using it, then it is okay. But if someone is constantly taking advantage of your kindness, your generosity, then it becomes a kind of problem for you to face. And one more thing is that if you're living in a kind of flat, and there you find that this kind of problem comes when 2 or 3 girls are living together, or 2 or 3, I'm not talking about boys. This is the, my girls channel, women's channel. So that's why I'm not bringing the topic of boys. So the thing is that you need to make a kind of compromise on many things. You need to understand each other's limitation. You need to understand where you are having a kind of problem, where you're not having any problem. And you need to set your boundaries. This thing happens, when you are in a kind of, when you're living together. When you're living together, you're sharing a lot of things together, and then you find the problem arises. You can also give them a kind of proposal when you're living together, that there should be a kind of designated self where you can have all those who are living together, they can have their snacks. It should be a contributed one. Like, it is not that if one people is bearing the expense of the things, everybody, those who are living there, they can contribute the money, they can buy the snacks, and all the people, they should have a kind of, together they can share the whole thing. Same case with clothes also. If you're fond of wearing something, so just make a kind of deal that we are going to spend money on this dress, and you are also allowing to wear this dress, and I'm also allowing to wear this dress. So both of can manage on these things after a kind of correspondence. The main thing is that that you need to have a kind of talk with them. If you sit together and decide the whole thing, I think matter can be solved to some extent. So after struggling with these kind of things, you find that some people are constantly coming to you and asking for things and borrowing stuff, and they are not going to return on time. You just take a kind of assertive step and make a kind of boundary and tell them that you want the things to be returned on time. Just give them a time. I want this thing to be returned on time. Give a lot of excuses, telling them I also need to use this thing because I need to go to the party. If someone has come for your if someone has come for your hair straightener, okay, they want to have a kind of hair straightener, so tell them that I also want to go to the party, so that's why I will also be in need of this thing, so please return it on time. So if you become a little serious about things, if you are very cautious about your own thing, if you're taking care of your own thing, I think the person before taking it will think twice that whether, should I take this, borrow this thing from this person or not. So you have to be a little strict, a little assertive, a little determined when constantly this thing is happening with you. Otherwise, in this beautiful world, if we live together, if we constantly help each other, if we live in a kind of cooperative way, helping each other, knowing each other, then it would be a beautiful world for us to live in. And sharing and caring for others and helping people out, it's a very good thing, I suppose. And I also believe in one thing, that borrowing is something which is really very difficult thing to stoop down to this label of being a kind of ratchet person, to present in front of other people asking for money and begging for money. So it is very difficult task. So if you find the person is sensible, if you find the person is the person who's asking for money is really in need of money, so go to the extent of helping that person out. So hope you like my video for today. So I will be coming on so I will keep on coming with these kind of topics. So thank you so much for watching my video for today.